What's up, Vault Hunters? The Borderlands Show is back because it's time to reveal everything you need to know about the upcoming Director's Cut add-on for Borderlands 3.
That's right, we're going to announce the release date. We're going to detail all the content for the first time anywhere, and we're going to speak with special guest Randy Varnell from Gearbox about the making of this DLC.
We'll also share your first look at another set of premium cosmetic packs coming to Season Pass 2, and we've got an update about a beloved Borderlands title that's finally returning to digital storefronts.
And of course, we're going to be telling you about the upcoming event, Broken Hearts Day, before it kicks off tomorrow, February 11th.
The humdingers don't stop, Vault Hunters. Welcome back to the Borderlands Show. That's right, everybody. Welcome back to the Borderlands Show. It's been too long. October, Fran and Mitsu. That was the last time we did this. October.
Yeah, it does not feel like it's been that long.
Long.
Oh, you know, well, Mitsu, you're still in it every day with the Bordercast. You're out there talking about Borderlands each and every week, all over the place. You know what I mean? Fran and I, we're just out over here in time capsules, waiting for you to come back to us to talk Borderlands. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, some housekeeping for you. Make sure you're following and subscribing. Twitch.tv/Borderlands, YouTube.com/BorderlandsGame. And of course, if you want to be part of our show, go to kindafunny.com/Borderlands. Leave us your burning Borderlands questions, even when we're not like out here yakking about the Borderlands. You got a question one day, you're sitting there, kindafunny.com/Borderlands. If you have a question and you're just sitting there and the question's about Borderlands, I can't help you install a garbage disposal or whatever. Mitsu, like I said, Fran and I, we've been sitting here, dry ice, waiting for you to come back. Lots of stuff to talk about in terms of what we've been playing. Lots of stuff to talk about in terms of what we're going to be playing. But for right now, what's going on with the Bordercast?
We just had our big New Year's Eve recap show, which featured Moxie, Triple G, and Thick Fillet. We were going to have Tweety Expert on as well, but sadly she fell ill. So we were hoping to have her back on in the near future.
Sure.
The show itself, of course, airs live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, right here on the official Borderlands channel.
Twitch.tv/Borderlands. Don't forget about it. Give me the update on Ultimate Vault Hunters. Give me the update on the creator team in general.
Oh, man, we love our Liz. 55 has been doing an amazing job hosting the hardcore players program that Ultimate Vault Hunters is, with guests such as Depresicles, Birdman778, and TBJ Quag, who are leaving lasting impacts on all of us who work on the show. It's been incredible having all of them there. The next episode actually will be airing today right here again at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, right on the official Borderlands channel.
Twitch.tv/Borderlands. And then, of course, for the creator team in general, you got Killer 6, you got Jolt's Dude. What are they working on right now? The Hunt, what is that?
Oh, the creator team. So Jolt's Dude and Killer 6 in particular are working on something called The Hunt. The Hunt is an amazing event that we run most every year. We did not run it last year, but it's something that the community loves and loves to do. So what the Hunt essentially is...
If I can stop you there, that's my favorite thing about what you're about to hear about. This is something the community loves to do. This is not Gearbox. This is not 2K. This is just Mitsu and pals in the community making this awesome thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm so proud of you, Mitsu. Go ahead.
You're going to make me blush now, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who heard that and just started blushing too. But the Hunt itself started many years ago from community member Gonza. The torch, after he left us, was passed to King Gathalion, who is a member of the Borderlands team, who worked to host and produce the event for a few years, benefiting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, a personal favorite charity of mine, and again, the benefactor of this year's Hunt. Jolt's Dude and Killer 6 decided to take up the mantle. It is a community-led initiative in which players of Borderlands 3 are provided a comprehensive list of all the rare items in the entire game and assigned a point value for each based on the rarity and difficulty in obtaining each item. You only need to obtain each item once, but you must make sure you have proof of doing so via recording or on a live stream. And since this event is running for 5 days, it will also feature a time component, so the fastest Vault Hunter to complete the entire list is the winner. And yes, there will be prizes coming soon. The event is scheduled to occur on March 1st and will go all the way through March 5th, so that should be just over 2 weeks away. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, please make sure to check out Jolt's Dude 139 and Killer 6's social media and Twitch channels on how to get involved in the Hunt. I imagine we'll have little links for that right there.
If I know anything about Roger, you will. Roger's the editor for this. Roger, I guess include this then, who you are. Otherwise, it sounds weird that I'm talking to Roger. But no, the Hunt, what an awesome idea. I'm so stoked it's back this year, and I'm glad you guys are doing it. So yeah, hats off to everybody who's running that, Mitsu.
Yeah, it's going to be an unbelievable event, and it's going to benefit a wonderful charity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got no time to lose. Let's talk about what we've been playing.
What we've been playing.
In case you missed it, Borderlands 3 is, of course, available now on all the next-gen consoles. If you were some of the lucky few that got a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X and or Series S, of course, and you own a copy of Borderlands 3, like I imagine you would be if you were watching this, you can upgrade to the next-gen version for free in the same console family. If you own the game on disc, just make sure, of course, you buy the next-gen console that has a disc drive to take advantage of this upgrade. Of course, downloading the next-gen upgrade allows you to run the game at 60 frames per second in 4K. Fran's always telling me how important this is because he's a PC player, and this is what it's all about. I know. Yeah, you're right, Fran. All right. It's really good. All right. I understand it now. I get it. That's their way to play. 60 frames per second in 4K during single player and online co-op. And it also lets you play local split screen co-op with up to 4 players. You can even run the game at 120 frames per second in performance mode. Fran, is this enough to drag you back to consoles? Because of course it's a it's a long known Borderlands story here. You said you'd play with me on PlayStation 4. Then there was the EchoCast widget on Twitch, and that was it. You were off to PC. I never saw you again.
Man, I just realized I tell a lot of lies on this show. It's kind of crazy. No, like these updates are awesome, and that's my simple, quick impression. Like,
oh yeah,
one, just going from PC, checking it out on. I got a PlayStation 5. Looks great. Immediately just opening it up to 60 frames, man. When you're playing an action game, and I know you already knew, and it's a gag, but like the reaction time you have when playing a game like this, it just feels so much smoother, and that's what you hear from a lot of players that make leaps like this. Everybody who sees it now does not want to go back to 30 frames in a game like this. But even better, the 120 frames. This is one of a few that is doing it. So applause for them for making sure that happened. So
yeah, for me, awesome. Playing on my PlayStation 5 in performance mode, it is
super sharp.
It's next gen. Like, you know what I mean? I know how silly that sounds. It is next gen, but for somebody who wasn't playing it on PC to jump in there, for me, to be able to hit the touchpad and go to my menu and have it pop up so fast, right, and get around the menu so quickly and be able to go through all my
the
so
load time stuff too. Yeah, it's a good point. The stuff that I forgot about those. Coming from PC and checking it out, I just know this is the frame rate, but that's another big upgrade. Like how fast stuff is loading in, and it's in great shape.
Do you feel like the haptic feedback on the PlayStation 5 was seamlessly integrated very well with the game?
Totally. Yeah, I felt that too.
I know when we were leading into this generation, right, it was kind of like a Rumble's Rumble. Like, okay, yeah, the Switch has HD Rumble. I can count the ice cubes. I know what you're talking about. But am I going to feel a difference here? And I remember booting up Borderlands 3 for the first time on PlayStation 5, jumping in. And I forget which one of my assault rifles I was using, but I'm like, oh, a gun I've used for how many hours now, and to pull down on R2 and feel that tension in it. I was like, oh, they went that far to make the guns feel different in terms of shooting for them. That's fantastic. The other, of course, big thing that's happened since we were last on the air, November, the Designer's Cut add-on launched. Designer's Cut added a brand new skill tree for each of the 4 Vault Hunters and introduced Arms Race, which is a bit like a PvE roguelite battle royale-ish mode. If you haven't played it, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go play it. You drop into a brand new map with nothing. You gear up as you go, and you try to extract the best loot before you're annihilated by the encroaching ice storm. Sounds familiar, but I don't know where. Gearbox actually just hosted 3 consecutive Arms Race mini events, so hopefully everybody had a chance to try this out. It's one of the ones I was super stoked to jump into. I did, and I am garbage at it. But Mitsu, what was the community's reaction to it?
Oh boy, Zane's Purple Tree, for example, as a Zane player, that's where I'm gonna go immediately. It's out of this world. He feels like a completely rejuvenated character. Though I will say that his kryptonite now kind of is entering fight for your life. He just doesn't get his kill skills anymore, so his damage goes down consistently, and there's nothing you can do about it. But everybody has afforded themselves some new and unique opportunities. I know you love Flak, Greg. You love Flak. There's been a little bit of a tepid reaction, but only because a lot of Flak's Purple Tree doesn't revolve around damage. It's a lot of survivability and utility. So for you, actually, that might not be a bad thing, because you like going in there and putting out the numbers, but you're also a support guy too. You like being able 100%. To crowd control your enemies. So there's something there for everybody.
Fran, you've had the same reaction as a Zane player?
Yeah, the Mantis cannon is awesome. It feels, it just makes the character, for whatever reason, it feels faster and more satisfying because you're just shooting even more. Like if that was possible in, Borderlands, but you're shooting on top of shooting. So it's a great feeling, and just honestly getting a new ability after, it had been a year. It's not even that long, but getting a brand new ability, it really makes a difference in the gameplay style and what you get out of it. And then, obviously there's new artifacts and stuff like that to complement it. So it's been awesome. So if you haven't gone back to check it out just for that alone and maybe finishing off some side missions or checking out, some of the takedowns and stuff like that, it's totally adds a new amount of freshness to it.
Mitsu, what's the reaction to Arms Race been with the community? Because it's something, like I said, I jumped into ready to go and really tear a new one, and it definitely tore me a new one as I tried to learn exactly how to get a new weapon and get out there.
So Arms Race is it's a bit of a split. There are some people who absolutely love Arms Race, and then there are some people who aren't as well receptive to it. And the reason for that is it's different. I like it because when you pick up a gun in Arms Race, so many of them feel valuable again. TDR weapons, which were recently adjusted, they feel amazing. You throw a TDR weapon, it's going to do damage. Some of the Jacobs weapons are one-shot machines again. You don't have to think about the math. You don't have to be this crazy builder. You drop in, you grab your guns, your RNG is on your side or it isn't, and you just go. I love it.
Yeah, it's a cool mode. I mean, again, I think it's important that they tried and did something different. And so to hop in and make sure everybody understands, right? You hop in, you don't have any of your skill trees, your level doesn't matter, and so you're really starting from scratch. And it's a fun, mode to hop into as an aside, right? Like it strips away everything that you have and you have to re-earn that. And then they actually have really nice exclusive legendary drops in there that you have to get out. And that's really...
You got to extract them, though. That's the thing, right?
Yes.
Exactly. And that's really what it's about. It's saying it doesn't matter, how many, builds or things that you've collected. You got to start from scratch if you want these sweet weapons. And you have to really think about it in a different way. So yeah, it's a cool mode. And it is, like you said, Greg, it actually is quite challenging. So yeah, I'm super happy they did it. But obviously they have really good drops in there too, which was very important, and they did a good job of that.
We definitely recommend, obviously, make your own opinion, get out there and try it. The Arms Race, you check it out by getting the Designer's Cut add-on or the Season 2 pass. Of course, if you only own the base game, no problem. You're going to have a chance to score even more limited time loot during the annual Broken Hearts Day seasonal event. It is back. It is that time for Valentine's. It's time to get out there and shoot stuff. Of course, the event kicks off tomorrow, February 11th through February 25th. You'll see a variety of hearts hovering around enemies all across Borderlands. Shooting these hearts, of course, produces any of 6 different effects, from temporarily converting an enemy to an ally to simply exploding them into a pile of loot. The more hearts you break, the more themed rewards you unlock, with 5 items up for grabs. This includes recolors. That's right, recolors of last year's cosmetic rewards and 2 legendary weapons that can only be unlocked during this event. If you missed them last year, don't miss them again now. Of course, you can opt out of this event as you want. Remember that? Remember the old days when we couldn't do this? Now we can opt out. Yeah. I love it. And of course, you can find more information, borderlands.com. I'm sorry, Fran, what were you saying?
No, yeah, it was funny. You already reminded them, but that if you thought back on it, you're like, man, all those hearts, like I liked it for a while, but then I was playing like regular. They fixed that a long time ago. Just as a reminder, you can toggle that on and off, which is amazing.
Mitsu, are you excited for the Broken Hearts to return?
Oh yeah, there's a sniper rifle, and the name escapes me right now, but it is out of this world. It was a sniper rifle that people wanted so badly that they actually were writing to Gearbox saying, hey, we know there's a level increase coming up. Could you maybe make this drop at that level increase so that we can have this be viable for a longer period of time? This is a true story.
Is it the wedding invitation?
Yes, the wedding invitation. And it has 2 elements too. I believe it's cryo and fire.
Yeah, and I thought of the same thing as soon as I read Broken Hearts again, and it's important to remember, this is an exclusive weapon as well that drops in the event, and it didn't come back, at a later time. So you couldn't get it at a higher power level or higher mayhem now, and now that's a big change. So there's definitely going to be stuff that you're going to want to, that in particular, you want to get the wedding invitation, assuming it is still called exactly that.
Yeah, especially
as well.
Yeah, especially because now we know that the level cap is going to stay 65 for a prolonged period of time.
Which is really nice, too.
I know a lot of people are excited to hear all about the director's cut. Of course, we've been able to play it. We got Randy here to talk about it. But before then, we have a special announcement. This one is very close to my heart. I am excited to say, ladies and gentlemen, after so long, next week, Tales from the Borderlands will be available for purchase once again.
Wow.
Finally. If you have not played this game and you're watching the show, I don't know. I'm sorry, what was that, Fran?
Yeah, I know. Boot me from the show. I haven't played it yet, so I'm really excited.
What?
Greg's like,
Why?
his camera's breaking down. He's like, you already knew that. All right, let's
What do you mean
remind
I
you.
already knew that?
Oh,
You
wow.
did know that.
Well,
One of the
when
reasons.
did we talk about this on this show?
Maybe
We
we
haven't talked
didn't.
about it on this show.
Wow, I
You-
feel like I
well,
really am going to get booted.
you
now.
could
Remember, one of the
know something.
reasons is that I play a lot of games, and I was newer to Borderlands many years ago, and that was the point. I brought that new perspective, and so I can't wait to check it out. Why are you shaming me and all the people that this is for?
It was a
okay?
great game. That's why I thought
believe
it was like one of the Telltale's best games. I thought you would have played it. I didn't realize you said
But
you hadn't played
remember, when
Borderlands. This one's not even about playing Borderlands normally. You don't even know who Loaderbot is. That's what you're telling me right now.
I mean, I've heard a lot about Loaderbot, though. So.
Oh my god.
So you see Reese and you don't know the significance of that
Oh
character.
my
That's what
God.
you're telling me right now.
If you're not familiar, Tales from the Borderlands is a narrative-driven adventure game created by Telltale Games that originally released episodically throughout 2014 and 2015. When Telltale disappeared at the end of 2018, much of its catalog, including Tales, disappeared with it. But now, finally, Tales is back. The game helps bridge the gap between Borderlands 2 and 3. It introduces characters like Reese and Vaughn. Oh my God, you didn't even know who Vaughn was, Fran.
I know who Vaughn is now.
You know who he is, but you don't understand why it's funny that he has the abs.
I don't
You
know
can see
who
the-
he is.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm going to
God.
find out, all right?
And again, just to be clear, I'm not shaming anybody watching this who hasn't played this. I am just shaming
Just shaming
Fran,
me.
who
Yes.
came out here being on the coast of the Borderlands show. He had business cards printed. He put flyers up in his neighborhood, driving me crazy. All right. It revived Handsome Jack as the manipulative hologram, and it showed us what happened to Scooter. Basically, Tales from the Borderlands is an essential piece of Borderlands canon and arguably one of the funniest games ever made. Now, I read that off the thing there, but I will tell you I am Greg Miller, and I agree 100% with that. My story with Tales from the Borderlands go, of course, I was a Borderlands fan. I love shooting guns. I loved the Telltale games of making decisions. And when this got announced, I was like, really? And I got it and I let it sit there for I think a month or 2 months on my PlayStation. And finally one night I'd come home, I had a bad day. I did that thing where I started doing the roulette wheel of playing different things on my system and nothing was hitting the spot. And I put this game in and I was laughing so quickly. It's one of the games that is closest to my heart in all of Borderlands, let alone
Yeah, I was
funniest
going to
games.
say, you are so passionate. Isn't it like of all the story, it is still pretty much your either most fond or most favorite?
Wow, that's a
I
great
feel like the
question.
way you
That's a
talk
great
about
question,
it,
Fran.
it is like your fondest or something.
Yeah,
the
it
way you talk
probably
about it.
is. Yeah, but I mean, we're also cheating a bit, right? Because I mean, what's great about Tales from the Borderlands is you're making choices and you're kind of like watching a movie, right? Like, don't get me wrong, you're moving your character and doing things,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah, like I played the
Borderlands
Walking
is
Dead
so
series.
driven. The core game, the core franchise of Borderlands is so driven by first-person shooting and stats and stuff like that. I think there's plenty of opportunity, as we've talked about to death on this show, to be funny, to have interesting characters, to have interesting engagements, but to be making the choices as Reese, right? To be exploring these relationships, the performances. Yeah, I mean, Putty from Seinfeld, Patrick Warburton, right? He's on there. He's hilarious. Troy
that's
Baker's
awesome.
great. Laura Bailey's great. Like the list goes on for people who just kill it in this game. So
Why? Why haven't I played this game? That sounds great.
I don't know. You slept on
I'm
it.
checking the live chat right now. It's because you're a poser. They say Fran's a poser. Yeah,
Exactly.
It sucks to see it, but there it
It's
is.
all right. I set
One thing to
myself up
note.
for it.
One thing to note about this republish: it no longer contains the choice comparison screens at the end of each episode, but it does bundle all 5 episodes together in one single package, which is great. Now. We've talked a lot about this. I've told you have to do it. The choice comparison thing, again, don't sweat it. Like you when you make a choice, just send me a tweet and I'll tell you what I did, and that's the comparison. But are you ready for the release date? Tales from the Borderlands launches on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC February 17th. That is 1 week from today.
Days
If you'd
away.
rather play
Wow.
Tales on your new PS5 or Series X/S, don't worry. Of course, this is backwards compatible, and you can play it on your new console. No problem. All right, Fran, you get your wish. Let's move on. All right. To recap, the Broken Hearts Day event starts tomorrow. Next week, Tales from the Borderlands returns, and then next month, the director cut add-on for Borderlands 3 launches. And the good news is these 3 guys have played that director's cut. So let's get into it in our first look.
First look.
All right, folks, if you didn't know, the Director's Cut add-on is the second half of the Season Pass number 2. It includes a bunch of new content like additional missions, endgame content, behind-the-scenes extras, all the stuff we're going to detail in just a second. But first, let's reveal the release date. The Director's Cut add-on for Borderlands 3 launches March 18th. More than 18 months later, after the release of this game, we are talking about content, and it's good, Fran. Can you?
I can, because the Borderlands team has actually they've proven themselves to support the game long after the
Great point.
First year comes out. So, but it has been awesome to see.
Mitsu, same thing for you. I know this is what Borderlands is known for, right? Fostering their community, continue to support it. Is this? Or do you just shrug your shoulders at this and go, oh, cool, they're still making more? Or are you still like, oh my gosh, 18 months later, they're still making this kind of stuff?
I'll be honest here. If there's one thing that we have learned from Borderlands 2, it's that Gearbox tends to have this very long-term vision and commitment to the Borderlands franchise as a whole, and the mainline series in particular. And I think back to Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary. That was released 7 years later. That's almost unheard of in our industry. So 100%. I'm hopeful that we'll continue to see even more updates for Borderlands 3 to the game in some form as time goes on.
That'd be nice. That'd be very, very nice. For right now, though, let's detail what's actually in the director's cut. The DLC consists of 4 main parts. A series of brand new story missions set throughout Borderlands. 3 sets of daily and weekly challenges called Vault Cards that can be completed for unique loot and cosmetic rewards. A collection of never-before-seen behind-the-scenes content, including Borderlands 3 concept art, storyboards, and more. And then finally, what you have all been begging for, a full-fledged raid boss.
Yeah!
This is a big one.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. I'm sorry. I can't contain my hype. And you know how you said you could read the chat just now?
Yeah.
I'm going to read the chat just now.
Go for it.
There's a million, billion, zillion emojis of happiness and love and success just flooding every single chat across every single person who's co-streaming this and on the main channel right now. People are absolutely going to be loving this.
Yeah, it's probably the most requested from fans of Borderlands. So
it makes sense, because I mean, that was the thing I remember from Borderlands 2 was grinding the big bosses, getting better gear, right? Just jumping in there. You had a couple hours, you wanted to go with your friends, you wanted to see the best guns. Mitsu, explain the importance of raid bosses to the Borderlands legacy for all the folks who are new to Borderlands 3.
Okay, so one of the major things that was introduced in General Knox, which was a DLC for Borderlands 1, was the concept of these big raid bosses. General Knox really gave people this taste of a real boss fight in Borderlands. And Borderlands 2 took that concept and just blew it up. There was Pyro Pete, there was Veracitus, there was Terramorphous, there was Hyperius, and my personal favorite, Master G the Invincible. And each one provided a unique and new challenge, which for the most part gave players great loot. And on a personal note, without these bosses, I wouldn't be here. This was the foundation for my stream, running through these bosses with members of the community. So seeing them come back, I'm singing praises.
Understandably so. Would you like the official description?
I would love it.
Of course.
Test your mettle against the most fearsome of all Varkids. Her name has long been whispered in blood-soaked legend. Now, Hemovorus, the Invincible, has awoken. This colossal raid boss has made her lair on Pandora, and only the fiercest big game hunters have a chance of kicking her chitinous butt in the pursuit of top-tier loot. Better bring some friends to this fight and get ready to get caked in Varkid guts. It's gonna get messy.
A little violent, but this is Borderlands, so we're used to that.
I don't mind getting messy in this game. Mitsu, how about you?
I'm all about it. And you know what it reminds me of? This reminds me of Vermivorus, the Invincible from Borderlands 2. So I can't wait to see what happens with that, if there are any links.
Yep.
Here's the other thing that I find incredibly exciting about this. On the Borderlands show, of course, we've had one question going on and on and on, never getting answered. You will find Hemovorus behind a door in Pandora that's been locked since launch. Yes, it is that door. The door we have all walked up to and said, why is this here? Why is it locked? The door we have asked guest after guest about, and they never have an answer. They want to leave the door open. We finally know what's over there. That is my cup of tea, Mitsu. Finally getting into this door.
Unbelievable. Congratulations, by the way, to the Twitter account that's just been asking that forever and ever and ever on every tweet relevant
now to what do you do?
Yeah,
now what do you do?
And I think it's another example of like the community influencing the game. Like, I don't know that the raid boss would be behind that door had it not asked so many questions about it. So
Sure, fair. Yeah. More notes for you on this one. Scaling works just like it does for takedowns from level 35 on up, but you must complete the main campaign before you can attempt this fight, and you'll need to pay 500 iridium to unlock that door each time, so be prepared. This sounds like it's going to kick the crap out of me, but I'm stoked to get in there and actually try it. Fran, are you in the same boat?
That's the point of it, right? It should, especially if you want that Mayhem level 10 gear, it should be very difficult. And originally, right, they were tuned for multiplayer experience, right? So I think I'm going to assume that it's going to be the same case for this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll have a chance maybe, Greg.
God, I hope so. Mitsu, what about you? Obviously, the community's wanted this. You've wanted this. Is this hitting the right note so far?
Okay, without spoiling literally anything, this is a classically designed raid boss. This is everything you could possibly want. I think players are going to love fighting Hemovorus. It's what they've requested, and Gearbox delivered it fully.
Because spoiler free, you've tried this, right?
Yes.
Mitsu. Fran, did you get to try it last night?
Yep.
Okay.
Got to peek at it. It's cool, man. Yeah, I just love bosses. Like, bosses in Borderlands, I think I brought up on the show, are my favorite part. So I knew why, the community was so excited as well, just to get raid bosses, but more bosses. And now this is, a brand new boss experience that you can go out and grind, and it's going to be tough too, it seems. So, we played an earlier version, so we'll see, what the final looks like, but it seems really cool.
It was challenging. It had mechanics. It was a raid boss. It was everything that you want.
It's a return to form. It's exactly, you know what I mean? It's like, it's back from what you remember, and here it is ready to go. One of the things I'm super excited for that we talked about outside of the raid boss, I know a lot of people are there, but for me, it was very interesting to hear them talk about new story-driven side missions. I have the official description on that one as well. Ava is convinced she has a lead on some potentially supernatural slayings and has decided to document her findings in serialized podcast form. Consider yourself her gun-toting co-host as you investigate strange happenings on Pandora, Promethea, Eden 6, and Necrotafeo in search of answers and loot, with the help of some familiar faces. Scour the galaxy to solve a string of murders. I was just on Twitter a couple weeks ago talking about how I watched the show. I had gotten super into this idea of like, I want more detective stuff. I want more murder mystery games. I don't know how Gearbox knew I would be in that mood now when they started work on this months and months ago. Does this do it for you, Mitsu?
Absolutely. I got to experience a little bit of it. I got to traverse new locations on planets that we're very familiar with, and I thought that the inclusion of a few returning faces was it's going to go over very well, I'm going to say, because they're fan favorite characters that were introduced this time around that people wanted more of.
Fran, same question for you. You got to play a little bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, number one for me, I'm always a fan of the way that they lean into new themes, and this does the same thing. The music, I'm always talking about it. Wait till you hear those like big bass lines and jazzy noir beats, and then you get down these like super vibrant, very Hollywood-esque, alleys that they've added to the game that are just beautiful. So it's got the vibe. I'm always excited, but they literally like take you into like, we've got a murder in here, and you like follow them down an apartment building and walk in, and like it's all staged with the police tape and all that. Totally. It's a very nice departure. So I love where it's going. We didn't play the whole thing or anything.
Of course, so. You want to ruin it. Yeah. I got a couple other bullet points on it though. I want to make sure we make clear. You'll see brand new locations, like Mitsu said, and use a new crime scene analyst mechanic to solve puzzles and progress the story. While this is a side story, there may be teases, hints, and secrets that tie back into the main storyline. So if you're a fan of Borderlands narrative and characters, you won't want to miss this. This is speaking right to my heart. As somebody who loves the story so much, loves the character so much, and obviously loves podcasting quite a bit. It'll be interesting to jump in there and see how this is all framed around that. And very interesting that they're doubling down on Ava, and we will definitely be talking to Randy Varnell about that when he gets on here for our interview segment.
So exciting.
Again, that's not all. Like I said, there's so much in this new DLC. Moving on from that, we have vault cards. Now, these aren't as straightforward as the raid boss or maybe new story missions, so I'm going to give you another official description. Included in the director's cut are 3 vault cards, which are your ticket to upcoming seasons of themed loot. Once the vault cards are released, they can be activated and leveled up to unlock a bevy of cosmetics, plus some supremely powerful gear. The first vault card will debut with the launch of Director's Cut on March 18th, with the remaining 2 scheduled to launch by the end of 2021. This is headier for me, Mitsu. Is it sticking for you? Do you understand it, and are you into it?
Dailies. We're getting dailies, and you know what? That makes me very happy. One of the issues with Borderlands that I think people who maybe play a little bit more casually have is it's very open-ended. Borderlands does not hold your hands. If you want to go out there and farm for something, you do that. But if you don't know what to do, or you're kind of like lost at a sense of guidance, you might put it down because you want to go with something a little bit more structured. Sure. Vault cards provide a much needed sense of structure, if I'm reading and listening to you correctly when we're talking about this. And I think that it will go over very well, especially if the rewards are there to back that effort up.
Yeah, I want to dive into that, Fran. Let me give you a little bit more to go off of. All right.
Yep.
So
there's a lot
what
more,
is? Yeah, there's a ton more. That's why won't you just phone it in once, Gearbox? Make our jobs easy. To start with, what does a challenge look like? You might be asked to kill a specific named enemy or kill 30 enemies with a technical or complete Slaughter Star 3000, just to name a few examples of daily challenges. Weekly challenges will be more like kill 300 enemies with specific elemental damage and kill 5 raid bosses. According to Gearbox, there are over 100 challenges that could pop up on any given day, and there will always be one bigger weekly challenge per vault card on top of the daily challenges. So then, of course, what do the rewards look like? From the official description, it sounds like rewards will be a mix of both cosmetic items and high-level gear that match the theme of the active vault card. You should actually be seeing some of the early rewards on the screen right now to make a little bit more sense to you. That I'm able to wrap my head around. Dailies, weeklies, awesome loot. Got it. I'm in.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
You know, you're our community guy. You're doing the border cast. You're involved so much with it. Is this something you think that was needed, or is it icing on the cake? It seems like Borderlands, the hardcore audience, already has a reason to pick it up every day as they chase individual weapons, as they chase trying to get, better grinds, as they want to max out all their characters. Do vault cards just keep that going? Again, we're so far away from the September 2019 launch of this game.
Sure. I think that this, again, it provided much needed structure for people who don't know why they should be playing Borderlands 3 after the game is over, because there are people who won and done it. You play your story, you're done, and that's okay. But people who are looking for a longer term experience can now know that when they're logging in, there's things for them to look forward to doing, and they're going to be rewarded for doing those things. This is a revelation, one that I never saw. And like, I try to keep my ear to the ground of the community as much as possible. I never saw anybody even suggest that dailies be an option, but I think I'm crossing my fingers here because I'm excited for it that everybody else will be too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's to put it in other terms, it's a lot of people at first were wondering if Borderlands would ever go games as a service. It didn't, right? But this is something you traditionally do see, and what it does is, yes, it brings the community together in windows of time, and then of course to chase loot, and especially for the super hardcore to be able to conquest specific things by doing these dailies or weeklies.
And that brings us to, of course, the final part of the add-on, one of the final parts, I guess, the never before seen behind the scenes content. This one is another one that I'm very interested in. Director's cut in film, right, usually implies deleted scenes, animatics, things that didn't get into the actual picture you're watching. It's, for a video game, a little bit different. You don't hear that much about it. The way they've described it here is, Greg, don't describe it. We don't want to spoil all of this by showing you everything now, but you can expect to find plenty of insights into the development of Borderlands 3, including bloopers, cut content, and other behind-the-scenes selections. You can also explore a gallery of full concept art, storyboards, lost maps, and footage of Borderlands 3 from throughout its development. That's rad. That is stuff you usually don't get to see, Fran. When you're making a game and you cut stuff, usually you're like, don't show people. Don't let them know that they could have had that. This is an awesome choice.
A little birdie from the team said there's some really cool story stuff as well within here. So it's not just like a look behind the scenes. There's also some story stuff that didn't make it in. So you're going to want to check it out.
That's all we can tell you about behind the scenes content, but we actually do have one more surprise for you. If you remember, on our last episode, we revealed the Multiverse Final Form Cosmetics pack. And guess what? These packs added 4 entirely new character models that depict how each one of your Vault Hunters would have turned out in an alternate universe where they, never became Vault Hunters. So here's the surprise. We're excited to reveal that Gearbox has created another brand new set of Multiverse cosmetic packs called the Disciples of the Vault packs. These packs give us a look at what would have become of each Vault Hunter if they had been swayed by the Calypsos and joined the Children of the Vault. Right now, you're looking at Second Sister Amara, the Harbinger Flack, Saint of Iron Mose, and Bane Flint Zane. There's actually official lore written to explain all the new looks, so you can check that out on Borderlands.com to learn more. I love it.
Such a
and
cool twist.
Again, keep giving me more reasons to play, to change my look. I hate when I get stale. I hate cycling through the same TV head for Flack over to Marcus over. You know what I mean? I have the same like thing. Give me more. Give me more.
This is a
reasons
really
to
cool
jump in.
twist. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like the Final Form Cosmetics Pack, the Disciples of the Vault Cosmetic Pack offers entirely new character models for each one of the 4 Vault Hunters. And also like the Final Form packs, these cosmetic packs are part of the Season Pass 2. So to be clear, if you purchase Director's Cut as standalone DLC, you will not receive any of these multiverse cosmetic packs we're talking about. You must purchase the Season Pass 2 in order to receive both the Final Form packs and the Disciples of the Vault pack. And this goes without saying, but you will need to own a copy of the base game in order to enjoy Season Pass 2, Designer's Cut, and Director's Cut. The Disciples of the Vault cosmetic packs drop next month on the same day as the Director's Cut add-on, so that's March 18th. Whew. You know, they make you work for it. There's so much stuff this time around for me to read, and I'm terrible at reading, Fran, but I got there. I got us where we needed. I can't wait for Director's Cut. Like, again, there's the Borderlands fan in me. Sure, more missions, that's great. A raid boss like I used to run all the time in Borderlands 2, that's great. New cosmetics, that's great. Behind the scenes stuff as a video game fan, getting to see what they cut, what they're going to include, where they could have gone, why they made the choices. Like, I feel like that's what's so great about our show. You know, when we get to sit down with somebody like Randy Varnell, right? We get to go into it and hear it out and hear the stories behind the actual game we all love. Yeah,
it was surprising actually how much is in it, and it's multifaceted and multiversed, but there's a lot going on with it. So we had a fully packed show, so I'm just excited for that.
And the show's not stopping there, Fran. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, there's all the stuff we just talked about, all the Director's Cut stuff, but let's get the man in here making his return to the Borderlands show. Please welcome head of the Gearbox Story Group, Randy Varnell. I can't believe it. Randy Varnell is back. Hello, Randy.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Excellent.
Welcome
How are
back.
you?
Great.
I'm great. It's a new year. Things are exciting, and we're still making Borderlands. So I mean, life is great.
Let's start there. How does that feel? I know, people talk about video game developers and, they want to stretch their legs. They want to do something different. Here you are, so many months removed from the release of Borderlands 3, but still making content for it. What is that like for you?
It never ends. And I'll be real honest. Some days it gets a little old, but a lot of times, when we're as lucky to work on a franchise like Borderlands is a big universe. And there's a lot of characters and a lot of stories that we can explore there. And it's a universe that we've intentionally designed to give room for a lot of creativity. So it's a big room to explore. We don't really feel that limited in a lot of ways. So it's been exciting. Of course, you say it's been, gosh, almost a year and a half since we released Borderlands 3. But all of 2020, we're making all the DLCs that we released for Season Pass 1, 4 really great story-based DLCs, and we never stopped. So, I mean, our narrative team and our creative team at Gearbox hasn't stopped making Borderlands for years and years and years. We're always excited to work on things that it's a universe like that. Fans love it, which makes it super thrilling. When people love and engage with what we do, it's just fuel to the fire, and we love to keep going. So it's been great. We're happy to still do it, and we're here today, I guess, to talk about even more that's coming up still.
Exactly. And I think, when you were here last time when we were talking about where the story group was going to go, and then with every subsequent DLC where we've done the Borderlands show, there have been these conversations of, being able to go into Krieg's mind, being able to go onto Jack's ship, we get to do things that are out of the ordinary, that are different, that I think, is interesting to watch Gearbox actually stretch their legs and do something different. Talk to me about this one, because this one is pretty close to home, right? You're going out and making a paranormal podcast with Ava. This is something I want to do. I'm happy to be her co-host as Flack. Where did this idea come from?
It's funny, we spend a lot of time as a lot of writing groups do, brainstorming ideas, and over the course of development, so many ideas come up, and we've got these. I literally have a folder on my computer of pictures I've taken of whiteboards over the year, where we go to a room and we brainstorm, and we have like lists and lists and lists of all the ideas. And when you go to put together a game or a DLC or story, there's so many of those that like, okay, this one fits here, this one fits here, this one fits here. And like, you have some like, well, that doesn't fit at all. And then you have these other set of ideas that are oh my gosh, it's such a great idea and we would love to do it, but it just doesn't fit here, right? And the idea of kind of the mystery, the murder mystery, solving it, going through a set of side quests was actually one of those ideas that came up from our co-lead writer Sam Winkler back in 2016, like right at the very beginning of a lot of the narrative design for the Borderlands 3 project. And Sam, like you, I mean, he loves podcasting, he loves community, but he really loves the idea of a good mystery. And we'd not done a lot like that before in Borderlands, right? Kind of doing the whole, let's investigate the steps, let's find out what's going on, let's solve it. So it really was an idea that gelled, and at some point during the Borderlands 3 cycle, Sam had a pretty full outline for what he wanted to accomplish. And we were working with a mission designer who'd already brought their cool gameplay ideas and everything in it. And in the big mix and the big cut of kind of figuring out what shipping content was going to be in Borderlands 3, it just didn't quite fit in. You know, you always have to make some hard decisions as you land a game. And there's a lot of things that kind of end up on the table. And what's really cool, the whole spirit of this DLC, we actually are kind of calling it Director's Cut. And that's exactly what a lot of this content is. They're ideas that we really loved and we really wanted to come back to, but they didn't quite make the cut for the main game. So here we are. We're coming back to them. We're especially with these murder mystery missions. We've polished them up. We've added some stuff to them. I really think it's cool. We've never done anything like this to this scale before at Gearbox, and it is really neat to come back and revisit a story. And in some ways, kind of with the Borderlands 3 story, get it closer to what we would consider kind of that definitive edition of the story. Like if you're going back and playing it on one of the new platforms, you're playing it again, or you're coming back to it after some time. Now you get to play it and you get some of these pieces in there. And we hope it's going to round out the story a little bit more for players. And I don't know, I think it's a better experience. It's definitely closer to what we intended when we came up with the original narrative of the game.
Now, Mitsu, we've talked a lot about this. Obviously, we talked about all the bells, the whistles, the bullet points, but this is Greg DLC. All right. This is more story. This is getting out there. You and Fran with your spreadsheets and how much you can get the gun with the DPS. Story. That's not what I'm about. I'm excited for this. So I want to know from your perspective, being so embedded with the community, what do you think the read is going to be? Because Borderlands is an interesting community where there are people who are just out there trying to make the best builds possible. But then there's so many people like me that love these characters and just want new content for them. What do you think the director's cut reaction is going to be?
You would be surprised how many people are out there right now who love the story of Borderlands that much. It doesn't matter if you are a hardcore player. It doesn't matter if you are the most casual. People are engrossed in it. One of the top concerns that people had was they love the story of Borderlands and want more of it because there's so many different facets that people want to explore. So wherever they can get that, that's where they're going to be. Even if otherwise they have their noses all the way deep into a spreadsheet. It's true. It's true. Jolts Dude brings it up a lot. He says that a lot of his community, for example, is so engrossed in, of course, the hardcore aspects of the game. But one of the things that always makes them want to play if they go speed running is enjoying the story again and again and again. And it was like that in Borderlands 2, and hopefully this makes them want to do that a little bit more in Borderlands 3 as well. Adding more context to these characters will go a long way, not just for people like you, Greg, but people like Fran, people like myself, and those watching here right now who are going to be so excited to hear what Randy has to say about this particular DLC.
Randy, to pivot back to you, especially when we talk about the audience and the community, why did you choose to focus this one on Ava? Right, a character that was there was differences of opinions when the game launched and what people thought of Ava.
Well, we talked about that last time I was with you a year ago when we did one of the very first Borderlands show right after we launched the game. We had already started to by the way, just to put it out there, we listened to a lot of community feedback. I probably read far more comments and forums and tweets than I should as a game developer, because it can sometimes be a turbulent sea out there. But I super respect our fans. We want to create a game that people love, and we certainly want to create a story and characters that reach out and engage with them. And Ava didn't get there for a lot of people. And we spent a lot of time after launch kind of looking at that and thinking about that. And I know centering this content around Ava is going to bring back some of those questions, like, we don't like Ava as a character. Why would we even do it? And I think a lot of our answer to that is we love Ava as a character, but the game that we released in the main game had some unfortunate cuts along the way that trimmed some parts of Ava that we were seeing behind the scenes that other people haven't been able to experience. And sometimes in all of that hubbub of launch, it just doesn't quite get there. And Borderlands, Mitsu, I really appreciate what you say because, and Greg, Borderlands really is an unusual narrative challenge because it is such a great, what I call a gamey game, right? It's a game of stats and guns and really engaging combat and player builds, and it's kind of keeps on giving, and people love to get down deep in that. I'm one of those guys. I love to play Borderlands as well, but it has a reputation for story and humor and character, and sometimes those things can fight one another. You know, characters can get too chatty, or you can like, I just want to get this dialogue out of the way so I can get to the mission because I really want to play the game part. And then other times it's not enough. Like, well, I did all this, but it didn't make any sense and there's no motivation and I wasn't involved in those decisions. And it's kind of a constant holy grail that we're seeking with the story department to find out where that balance. And what I love about our fans is they are very bold and very correct most of the time about telling when we don't hit something the way it should hit. So a lot of our reason for coming back to Ava here specifically is to round out Ava and hopefully give the players a little bit more time with her in a way that'll help her see some of the things that we see her in a character and her place in the overall story. It's one of the reasons in this DLC frame, like we talked about, like it literally happens kind of during the timeline of the main mission frame. So if you are playing Borderlands 3 for the first time after we release this DLC with this DLC, you're going to have hopefully a different experience than some of our original fans did because you're going to be able to see Ava kind of grow. You're going to understand a little bit about her place and how she has questions about her place there too. I think she's a really important character, and we think there's some really good story reasons why you need to do it. But I don't disagree with the fans who said, man, there's some challenges to liking Ava, because she seems to get in and complicate everything we love about some of these other beloved characters like Maya and Tanis and even Lilith, you know, with the ending and all that. So a lot of our motivation was to give more time, not only with Ava, but some other characters. There's a little bit of Lorelei in some of those missions. We get to spend a little bit more time with Clay, who had a series of missions there on Eden 6. So those are some really fun moments too. But Ava really gets to be kind of her teenage spirit here, right? You get to see her. She's caught up in the mystery of what's going on and these murders. She wants to go to send you to different people. She's trying to kind of express herself through finding these. And in a lot of those conversations, I think it really helps to round out her character in an interesting way. So our hope is that players who didn't like Ava before and come back and give it another shot will understand Ava a little bit more. You may not like Ava. You may not get all the way there. You know, there's a lot that we could do on that. But often what makes the difference with attaching to a character and falling in love with the character and not, they're kind of two big things, right? It's how much time you get to spend with them as a person, but it is also with what types of things you do and how they express themselves to you. And Ava had both of those challenges. One, she was always kind of the whiny, moping teenager in the background in a lot was
that was endearing. Damn it, that was endearing, people.
Well, for you,
it can be, but for a lot of people, it didn't hit that way, right? And so we wanted to be sure that they get to see all the sides, you know, in those moments where it really matters, and also how she responds. We wanted to show Ava doing something fun and exciting and expressive. She has an agenda. She wants to do something. She's not always just experiencing, you know, the later stages of teen angst back in her cabin on Sanctuary. She has things that she enjoys. She has aspirations and dreams, and she has some things that don't always mesh well with what everybody else wants at the time. So conflict is good, but we hope that you'll understand Ava's character a little bit in all this. And while you're doing it, man, you get to go on some kick-ass adventures. Like each one of the missions that we're releasing with this, you get to go to a new map and a new location tucked away on the existing planets. You get to have some great combat encounters, some other new stuff that goes on. I don't want to spoil everything, but on there. So they're full-on adventures in their right, and they all kind of work toward a broader story together. So we think it's going to be a really great. It's kind of a beefy side mission chain, but in a way that hopefully will elevate Ava's character in the overall story of Borderlands. So there's my longer answer for that, but that's why.
It sounds like you guys are really investing heavily in Ava long term. I think that one of the concerns that the community has is just hoping that she has kind of like a redemption moment. Do you feel like this DLC will help at least alleviate some of those concerns?
There's a little bit for people who really want to understand, like you specifically, I've seen the question too, is why did everybody give the keys to Sanctuary? Why does Maya trust Ava so much? You know, she kind of got Maya killed from a certain point of view, and she doesn't seem that she's worthy of the mantle of Lilith and Maya and these other great women who have been before her. And we actually skim across that topic, even in the DLC 4 that we did on Season Pass 1 and Psycho Krieg and the fantastic Buster Cluck, which I have to say as many times as I can because it still makes me giggle every time I say that.
Such a great name.
It is.
But that DLC, if players haven't gotten a chance to play it, if you really want to round out that story of Ava and Maya and Krieg, who is one of the characters that people really wanted to, it definitely gets down to Krieg real deep. But it touches on some of the Maya and Ava moments as well. And there's some content in there that helps understand and express what's going on there. So I would definitely say that people who want the full experience, play the DLCs from Season Pass 1, because we heard those questions from players and tried to tuck some of that character building and some of those answers and moments back into there. But we definitely attempted to do more in this director's cut DLC to not only create just a fun story, entertaining experience that feels authentically Borderlands. That's certainly what we try to do every time we make more content here. But Ava, we would love players to come back and give Ava another shot with this fuller experience of her and see what you think. And I'll be ready for honest feedback again in a few months when we read that.
On that note, was there any movies and TV shows that inspired this kind of noir Hollywood vibe?
So we take inspirations from a lot of stuff like that when we look at it, and we love that we get to do try different types of storytelling in those DLCs. So this one, people who love those great mysteries, though, who watch if you can't stop watching, like, I want to watch a good murder story today, and I want to figure out, I want to watch the clues, and I want to get that lead and spin up and what's going on and who's really behind all this. We really tried to get that in here as well. So I think fans of murder stories and whether it's real life crime drama or the more Dresden or the more lore based, fantasy or supernatural fiction, I think there's something in there for everyone there. So it's a cool, different thing. And I'm excited to get it out to people.
Yeah, that's all I was digging at, and you summed it up perfectly, which is there's so many different themes, and I love that you guys lean into it. It's not like, when you check this out, and I never know how much, we're going to be showing on these shows, it's like I love the dimly lit, super vibrant alleyways, and like when you go into the, the murder scene, and it is very different than a normal Borderlands setup, and I love that you guys do that, and I was frankly fishing for that, and you summed it up quite well.
Believe it or not, Randy, there are more Ava questions in the mailbag. Are you ready to answer them?
I am ready for the mailbag. Let's go.
Hit the graphic.
Mailbag.
All right, time for the mailbag. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can be part of the Borderlands Show at kindafunny.com/Borderlands. Even when you're like, when's the next show coming? You can just go there and ask that question, and then we wouldn't answer on the show.
And we'll
but
answer
you
it
understand.
on the next show.
You understand that the questions, even when there's no show on the air, you can just go there, kindafunny.com/Borderlands. Randy, I went as far back to pull questions from September 2019 for you, because I feel like we're having this conversation about Ava. This is going to be more Ava time, folks, because so many people at launch, I should say, had questions. Now we are here, and I think we're seeing the fruits of those questions. So I want to start with Drew. Drew wrote in, of course, Drew, a man of culture. He mains Flack. All right, there you go. Flack is, if you forgot, Flack is the one true god. That is why Flack, the statue's back here. That's why Flack is here. That's why everybody should be playing as Flack. And says, Drew says, honest question, no hate intended. How did you guys feel about how the fans reacted to Ava? We've talked about, okay, cool. You see the fact and have this realization that, okay, we didn't get the parts we wanted in there. We've lost part of that. But I create dumb podcasts and dumb YouTube videos. And when people say mean things in the comments about them, I'm like, oh man, like, you know what I mean? I can't imagine working for years on a story, a new character, being excited, putting it out there, and then seeing the fans react. Is there that moment where your walls go up and you're like, no, the children are wrong. We're right. We crushed this. Or is it a slow realization of like, you know what, if we put X, Y, and Z in there in the director's cut, that would flesh that character out.
So the most honest answer I can give is we feel all of the things, and sometimes all at once, sometimes, you know, in appropriate order where we can deal with it. But creators, anybody who does anything creative, you know, and a lot of our fans are creators, so they understand this as well. Whenever you create something and put it out for other people to review, there's always a part of your own self in that, and a part of your soul in that. And any criticism, whether valid or not, there's always that instinctual, like, blast shields up, I can't take this, and they're completely wrong, and I want to fight and argue with you on the internet, and that's totally going to solve our problem. And we go through all of those phases and did. But I really, I think being a professional creator, again, with a franchise as big as important as Borderlands, in our care and our trust, you have to learn to kind of take all of those, feel those things. I wouldn't say don't feel them. You need to feel them as a person, right? And that's part of the journey that we all go on, and it makes you a better person to process through them. But there comes a time where you have to take those thoughts and those feelings, and you say, okay, I'm going to set them aside, and now I'm going to go back and read all the posts again. But what I'm going to look for is where we really did succeed or where we didn't succeed. And we did a lot of that soul searching, you know, and we did it for all the characters, not just Ava, but Ava was certainly, so I'll absolutely acknowledge she was the most controversial character in Borderlands 3 in terms of players and what we saw on the internet and on the places we talked and interacted to people. Probably the least liked new character that we added in. And that is really difficult with Ava because she's such a prominent character in the story in Borderlands 3. So we've talked a lot and read a lot and kind of processed a lot on the character response there. So how do I feel about how fans reacted? I feel great that they reacted honestly, because the worst thing for us is when we aren't succeeding at something and fans are just kind of quiet. Like, honestly, the worst reaction is no reaction.
Before you go, would you like to give away a shift code for some golden keys?
I would love to give away a shift code.
All right, so now do something like this with your hands, and then Raj will put it there. There it is. Oh, hold on there. Oh, there it is. Look at that, everybody. Golden keys are waiting for you with that there shift code. Randy, thank you so much for your time and all your work. Obviously, you thanked us for, you know, making the show. Please, it is a pleasure to make a show about a game we all love.
That's great. Thank you guys for being fans and great partners in this. And thank you all the fans out there who have played Borderlands 3 and all of Borderlands game. We hope you continue to enjoy the franchise, and we're listening to you guys.
Randy, you're off the hot seat, but you know what that means. It's time to ask a psycho.
Ask a Psycho.
Patrick from Illinois writes in and says, my friend still hasn't bought a copy of Borderlands 3. How can I convince them to finally dive in? Do I have good news for you, Patrick? Right now, you can enjoy Borderlands for a limited time on all sorts of platforms. Get 50% off Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition and 55% off Borderlands 3 Super Deluxe Edition on Xbox via the Microsoft Store and PC via Steam and Epic. You can also pick up a copy of the Borderlands 3 Standard Edition for 67% off on Xbox via the Microsoft Store, PlayStation via the PlayStation Store, and PC via Steam and Epic. Wow!
Price. Offers applied to digital editions only. Offers valid only while supplies last. Exact offer dates and discount will vary by region and retailer and are subject to retailer's own terms. See retailer site for specific details and terms.
What's happening?
Void where prohibited or otherwise restricted by law. 2K Games is not responsible for the fulfillment of any retailer offer. Offers on the Epic Game Store valid from February 4, 2021 to February 11, 2021. Offers on Steam valid from February 4, 2021 to February 18, 2021. Offers on the Microsoft Store valid from February 9, 2021 to February 22, 2021. Offers on the PlayStation Store valid from February 3, 2021 to February 17, 2021.
Who is saying that?
Ask a Psycho.
Fran, Mitsu, that's another episode of the Borderlands Show. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Brilliant.
Fran, if we come back next time and you haven't played Tales from the Borderlands, we're going to have to throw down. And I don't want to do that because you'll beat me, but I'm just letting you know that that is the line in the sand right now. All right. Can you do this for me? Can you play Tales from the Borderlands?
And the stakes get higher and higher, but yes, let's do it. I feel
Thank
it
you
is
very much.
it is my duty, of course.
We'll be back later this year with another episode of the Borderlands Show. So please keep writing in with your questions. Of course, kindafunny.com/Borderlands. Whoever's in from Gearbox, we can ask those questions for you. They can be about anything. They can be about the free Broken Hearts Day seasonal event that kicks off tomorrow, of course. There's plenty of stuff for you to do there. Of course, you have more homework. I need you to follow twitch.tv/Borderlands. I need you to go over to youtube.com/Borderlands game, like, subscribe, share, go back, watch all the old Borderlands shows. Keep saying in the comments, man, these guys are good. Did you know that this Fran guy didn't play Tales from the Borderlands? Just say it over and over again. All right. Then also compliment Mitsu on his scarves.
This is going to get
Mitsu's
bad.
scarf is always on point.
Thank
all
you.
right. Is everybody ready? You know what you're doing? You got the game, you got the DLC, you got the things, you got your, make fun of Fran in the comments. Awesome. So like I said, we will be back with another Borderlands show. Make sure you're following Borderlands on all social media so you don't miss one Fran insult. But until next time, Vault Hunters, like,
Follow,
and obey.